Hello, everybody, and welcome to your favorite Sunday sports stream. I'm Bobby Munson, and beside me, it is Mark. This is Point of View. Mark, happy Sunday. How are you doing, my friend?
Well, it's been an interesting week. There was word that Reading owner was going to be taken over. We'll get into that a little bit earlier. And then it was announced there's something exciting happening with Reading, which we'll get into a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
And then went out on Friday, took the kids out of school because it was a really hot day. And we went to the beach on Friday, and I burnt, as you can see, right? If I go like this, right, you'll see a red line there and then a white patch right there. That's because I had my hat on. And my burnt me head and I've burnt my face and my arms and my legs because I'm an idiot. But apart from that, and my legs absolutely kill for a lot of walking over the past week or so. So my feet and my legs are dying. But apart from that, I'm all good. How are you, Bobby?
I'm doing really good myself. I can't complain anyway. It's been warm here too. I got out and did some yard work yesterday, went out for a nice, beautiful walk with the wife. And it's just a good time of year to get back outside again, especially after the hellacious winter that we went through here in Canada. That was never too much fun. STG knows all about hellacious winters in Canada. Well, kind of. I mean, he kind of lives in the nice part of Canada. But burnt me face, he says. Looks like the children rolled daddy up. It was, but yeah, it's been beautiful weather all around too. Can't complain at all, kind of thing. So yeah.
Shall we, while we're waiting for Daddy Andre to turn up, shall we talk about European football,
Yeah,
as
let's
in
do it.
Champions League, Europa League? Because I want to get your take on things, right? So
Yeah.
I want you to go over because I know you watched the game because I didn't actually watch it on Thursday. I was at work. I think I was passed out because my legs were hurting at work. Your take on Man United because you can't piss a win in the league. But you
No,
can, but you can win in the cup.
I don't understand the logic. I really don't understand the logic. How the hell does this keep happening? We're going up against teams that are considered world class type teams, and we go out and win like we did on Thursday. And then yet we go out in the Premier League today and we just piss it away to Brentford. Now, granted, the lineup that started and putting Bayinder in at goal wasn't exactly inciting confidence today. Today looked like our substitutes started the match for the most part, and then the better players came on
Oh
as we
yeah.
went. But it was an interesting experiment because I mean, already the relegated teams are the relegated teams. Man United's already pissed their whole season away. So do you keep putting out your top people all the time kind of thing just to gain a few more points in what doesn't really matter at this point for you? Or do you keep them fresh for this Europa League, which again they pull off that win? They're looking strong going into the final leg here of this thing, and then onward to the finals from there. And we could have an all English final, Mark. That is the crazy part. We could have an all English final going into the Europa League final. Spurs looking strong on the other side of the fence, which that is very interesting. Like, it's not very often when you play the European side of football that two English teams necessarily make it to the finale against each other. And when you do, oh man, all of England's going to be paying attention that day if and when it's not if and when that happens. Daddy Andre in the chat while making his coffee. He'll be joining us very shortly. And good morning, Bobby Stats. Saying hello to myself and Mark. How are you doing? Hope you've been having a lovely weekend. But yeah, your thoughts on this too, Mark, because this is wild news for England, not even just in the Europa League, but beyond that as well too. To have more information on European England clubs doing very well right now.
It's mental because looking at here, you beat Atletico Bilbao 3-0. If you don't know about Atletico Bilbao, they are so interesting. They can only sign Basque players. They can't sign anyone. They can. It's like a unwritten rule. Basque players are a certain type of place between Spain and France. Okay, so there's like an area between Spain and France that only. No, Bobby's coming in a minute.
You
and
mean
not Bobby,
Andre's
Andre,
yeah.
the other
It's just
Canadian, the other
it's
Canadian.
only two-thirds of us here so far.
Exactly.
Good morning to you too, Peggy.
But I have like a real soft spot for Bilbao because they have a certain way of doing things. They were made by they have part English in them from when they were born, and I do like them. But Manchester United proving that going to Spain, a tough place as well. Bilbao haven't got any slackers in their team as well. Because if you look at their team, they got Nico Williams, Ianaki Williams, they're brothers to each other, wings as well. You've also got I can't ever say his name, Agazrizabala, the goalkeeper for them as well. And if you look on their bench, they have got quality. Unai Gomez, an absolute legend of FIFA. And happy May the 4th to you, Ed, as well.
Yes, may the 4th be with you.
Yeah, and then exactly. And then you've got Tottenham on the other side of the bracket in the Europa League, where Tottenham haven't won a trophy since the year 2002. And they haven't been to a European final since they lost to Liverpool. And before that, they've never been to a European final. So, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong. Spurs, I don't like you too, as well. With that as well. So, it's mental to think that the two of the most failing teams out of the top six are Manchester United and Spurs, but they can turn up in European action and potentially one step closer to. I don't even know where the final's being held. I'll Google it while I'm here. But
okay,
mental to think that two of the most failing teams in England are actually could be in the Europa League final.
Which is wild because then it really changes things up and opens things up going into next season as well too. Like, I mean, this will make for a very interesting final. If it comes down to United and Spurs in the final, or when it comes down to United and Spurs, like just absolutely phenomenal. Bobby, thanks for liking the video on YouTube. Appreciate that, my friend. Again, anybody who's watching along, please do the same. If you're watching on replay, please, give us a like, a thumbs up, all those wonderful things, and interact. Make sure that if you're here in the live chat, keep your conversation going. Happy to talk to you guys all about the week of sports and everything. I should mention coming up later tonight, though, Mark, too. It's a very special night because Marvel Talk coming in tonight. There's going to be a review of Thunderbolts later on the channel. So
still need to watch that.
Yeah, well, no spoilers then, but very, very, very good movie. Very good movie.
But if you're a Manchester United fan and you made it to the final, you will be happy because the way you just been to Spain and won is where the final is being held. So you've got that. You've won in that ground already. So you're sort of happy with that. But Tottenham still have to go away to Bodo Glimt. They are very famous for fucking things up in the semi-finals. Manchester United were very close to fucking up a semi-final. Not a semi-final. The last round being knocked out, and then you've got the Europa Conference. By the way, I want to give this stat out as well, and I'm going to give. No, please don't. I'm going to give a funny stat. If Manchester United win the Europa League, and Real Betis win the UEFA Conference League, Anthony is owed medals for the Europa League and the Conference League in the same season.
Who would have ever thought that guy would be owed medals for two different club competitions, little one competition? And say Marvel Talk, and he appears. Andre has arrived on the show.
And
hello, gentlemen.
Oh, it's the most beautiful bald-headed bastard ever. But then you've also as well, if we go with the Conference League, Chelsea are 4-1 up against a team I'm not even going to try and pronounce. In my wildest dreams, Djuro Garden, I'm going with that. Who they went away and beat them 4-1. Sancho, Madueke, and Nicholas Jackson for them either. We don't have nameplates because you beautiful bastards know us already because we're so famous for it. That's why I'm sticking with that. But yeah, so English football. I don't know where this has come from. Where we've decided where we've all decided that English players or top 6 teams can actually play in Europe when they can't play at home. Because Arsenal lost 1-0, if I'm right, should have probably been more, against Paris Saint-Germain. And if they win as well, they could also, if they can go to PSG next week and beat Paris Saint-Germain by 2-0, they can make their way to the final of the Champions League, where they could either be facing it's Inter Milan or Barcelona. So yes, it's interesting to see what goes on English football. But I'm really excited to show my PowerPoint presentation to the Football League action, by the way, because I have videos this week. I have fully thought ahead of everything. So yeah, Bobby, back to you.
All right. Well, I mean, I as much as this pains me, and yay, Liverpool has been mentioned more than once in the chat. Yay, Liverpool, I guess. I can't be that nice. I mean, come on. They had a season that's going to make Jurgen Klopp go, how the hell did they manage to win the entire season on that few points? Jurgen Klopp has finished with higher points than that, not won a season before, and they win it on that. So, yay.
Jurgen Klopp finished second with 92 points one season.
I know.
And Arne Slot has just won the league with 80. I find that absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. But you know what's even more hilarious, that I find even better? Not that I care that much because it's the Premier League, but I just do it for fun, is they have now tied with Sir Alex Ferguson with his most amount of trophies. And Man United fans, not Bobby, because Bobby isn't as bad, but those bumders on the internet that think that they just go, Liverpool can't get near us. Oh, Liverpool will never get near us. That's it. That's my comment for that bit.
No, I mean, I never said never. Liverpool was always a strong club. They went through a rough patch and they bounced back. Like, whatever. I mean, Man U still hasn't bounced back. That's the thing. It's like, maybe some of our fans need to give themselves a reality check over the last decade. We aren't exactly in bragging position, especially when we're getting beat by teams like Brentford 4-2. Thank you very much. And, or when we 3-0, we scored. I turned it off. I gave up.
You scored in the 95th minute with Amad Diallo.
Well, I guess, so what's the Man United argument going to be? Oh, well, Luke Shaw scored their 4th for them. So,
there you go.
Like, we've scored more own goals than we've scored goals this season overall, pretty much. So pull your heads out of your asses, United fans. We had a bad season, a very bad season.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love a meltdown from a football club. I love it.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, Andre, anything you want to make positive on this?
Footy. Watch it. It's great.
Love it.
I know that later on in the show, Andre's going to do a full breakdown of the round one playoffs of action. He's going to be doing a roundup.
I can give you a full breakdown of two of the series. That's about it. Only watch two.
You could do a full breakdown of 2, but you can let us know who's favourites and all of that.
Yes. Yes. Go Sports.
Go Sports.
Go Sports. Go Sports. It takes us. Sports takes us on a roller coaster of emotions, but we all still watch it. Watch it. But Mark, you said you wanted some stuff to talk about Reading FC wise. So we're on the football side of things. Reading FC has been the news talk of the week. In fact, I might have even changed the name of the title of this show to something Reading FC had it not been for the fact that I had already made the title, and I'm kind of lazy sometimes. But Mark, over to you, all the latest from Reading FC.
We're going to do Reading in 1 minute, but I want to do something, and I want to talk about a couple of things that happened yesterday. And I want to talk about 2 leagues. I want to talk about Championship, and I want to talk about League 2, because Leeds United and Burnley Football Club were both on the same amount of points going into the final day of the season. Okay? Burnley were winning against Millwall. Millwall needed playoffs. We'll get into the playoffs in a minute. Leeds United had to win because of their playoff, because of goal difference, to win the Championship. Now, we're in the 90th minute, and this happens.
This is Leeds come with Solomon into the penalty area. Manor Solomon! Manor Solomon!
United are in front here, and the scenes are just superb. Manor Solomon and... If you didn't get that, Manor Solomon, who is on loan from Tottenham Hotspur, scored. Yeah, the defence was horrific. That, by the way, the team that they scored against was Plymouth, who are already relegated from the Championship and will be going to be playing football. But another of a sad note.
That defence was terrible. Yeah.
Another sad note as well, Luton Town, who were in the Premier League last season, have been relegated to League One, back-to-back relegations for Luton Town, who will be playing League One action. But in another, we're going to turn it into a positive. Bradford City in League Two needed a miracle coming into the 95th minute to get automatic promotion to League One. And then this happened.
Lapsley, deflected and in! League One is calling their name. 6 long years. Delight for Bradford City. The excitement has got too much.
So Bradford City, who are one of the most
terrible. Even I
longest.
That was terrible.
Yeah, but it took a massive deflection of a defender to then go to the other side. For it to go in.
I've had that happen before.
Yeah, it's horrific. I've seen it happen against Reading. It's horrific to watch. You're going, no, don't go. It's gone in. But no, Bradford City, who were one of the founders in the Premier League, had a horrid time with owners dropping down all of the leagues. They can get 35 to 40,000 in the stadium in League Two. They've got promoted for the first time in 6 years back to League One. And I just want to say congratulations to all of them who will be going up. But as Bobby said, we're going to be doing some Reading talk. Now, I went to the game at 10 o'clock in the morning yesterday. We got note that there is an agreement in the sale of this football club to Redwood Holdings. Redwood Holdings are the company and investor group by Rob Kuig, who is a New Orleans born, bred American, and he's been around Reading he was a Wycombe Wanderers owner for a little while, and then left and sold that and then got more money for it. And his investor group were very happy because when it was a sale, he turned up at the stadium yesterday and gave this speech. By the way, America, you are so predictable in your speeches.
But really, all of the thanks, all the congratulations go to the lads on the field, the coaches, the staff, and you guys for supporting them this entire year when everybody said to give up. What's the one thing we all know? Never give up.
He's gone full John Cena on us. I'm waiting for Travis Scott to pop up at one point with The Rock. But no, so Rob Kuig, who that guy there, the guy that was zoomed in on the background, his name is Todd. He is right-hand man to Rob Kuig. These two are the people that will be running the football club, plus a former Wycombe Wanderers player who will be the CEO of Reading Football Club. Which then gets into the game. And it wasn't a good game. We lost 4-2. Leyton Orient won 4-0. But I want Americans and you guys at home to understand what this meant to us yesterday. Okay, so I've got some videos for you. But before we get to the videos, there's a photo I've put in here as well. This is the stadium that we were sat in yesterday. This is 23,000 people for the first time in around about 8 years. We've had that many people in, 6 years. I think it's 6 years now. Because since the new owner took over, we have not had that many people turn up because of what he's done to this club. And look at that. Everyone turned up and we get step foot into the stadium. And we're not even in the ground yet. We're in the concourse and you've got this going on. And yes, that was me chanting very loudly in the background. You hear as well. Yep. I could not help myself and do it.
That angelic voice.
Beautiful. That was my football voice. And then the players come out to one of the best We had Frank Sinatra, The Impossible Dream being played, which was a very symbol of us. Many years ago when we got promoted for the second time, it was the impossible dream that we fought and absolutely got promoted. And then the players come out to this reaction, knowing that Die Young is no more and we are under a new tutelage. And that was the players coming out. I didn't record any more of that because I got very angry at certain points of the game because we lost. But no, I just want to say thank you to Star and the supporter group Star at Reading Football Club. I want to thank the campaigning group of Sell Before We Die for their tireless efforts, for going to the government, going to councils, going to other football clubs to get the name out of what they were doing. It took 3 years from when he said that he was going to sell the football club to actually doing it, to having over 18 points deducted under him, to having millions and millions of pounds lost, to having staff cuts, to having players' wages not being paid, staff being cut for no reason and being put and he unemployed because he didn't want to pay them, to managers leaving because they could get paid somewhere else, and then players staying around and knowing that they may or may not get paid, and fighting for a chance for the final day of the season to have a little bit of hope of a playoff, knowing full well it was never going to happen. But to even have a sniff of getting into the playoff was absolutely immense. We know that majority of these players won't stay. There's going to be a whole cost-benefit analysis of this team. We know that Rob Couhig is very businessman, money-orientated. He's very how much of a cost, which is something that we need. But what he does need to do is add, not take away. Because next season, if we got stability, I'm confident in saying we will be top 3. Going into next season. I feel like we've got the spine of it. We just need everyone else to stay around and to push this forward. I also want to say a big thank you to Tyler Binden. He won the Player of the Season. He is a 19-year-old who we signed when he was 17 from America. He was sold to Nottingham Forest in January, which he was then loaned back to us for the rest of the season. He will now be going off, potentially playing European football next season for Nottingham Forest. And not only that, a lot of those players that stuck around when their contracts were up or didn't have to leave, then I'm forever grateful for whatever you guys doing. A lot of we had Steve Coppell. If you don't know Steve Coppell, please go and look him up. He was one of the famous Crystal Palace managers. He was the manager of Reading that made us get the record amount of points in the Championship by getting 106 points. We have Brian McDermott there, an absolute legend of the club, was a scout turned director of football, turned football manager. Just all the legends, and they all went out drinking with the fans last night. There's videos everywhere of players absolutely hammered with fans. At one point I saw videos of the Reading players were going up against Reading fans in a punching machine. At one point I saw that and I was like, yep, that sums us up. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. I won't stop talking about Reading because we're now on a good run. We won't have to talk about anything now. We've got playoffs coming up now for the playoff teams and playoffs. If you haven't been able to watch playoff football and never watched it before, and you get the chance to watch it, please watch it. They are the most mental games of 2 games of football you will ever see in your life. Always the second leg is better than the first, because the first leg everyone wants to be defensive and try not to concede goals and get through. But second leg, last year, a team lost 5-0 in the first leg and won the second leg 7-0. In the night, it was mental. Go and watch up. Sheffield United second. I think that it was the League One playoff final, a playoff semi-final with Sheffield United. They won it against Peterborough. Mental, absolutely phenomenal. So make sure you go and check that out as well. But yeah, thank you to everyone and up the fucking ding.
So what you're saying is I should become a Reading fan. So that's what you're saying. Get on while they're before they're champions, right? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll have to get you to buy me a I don't know how you guys call them jerseys. or
Y-
kits?
You can. We call them shirts. Football shirts.
Okay,
That's
sure.
what we call them.
You have to get me a 4X and send it to me. No, I'll
right.
give you the money. I'll get you the money.
That's fine. I'll do that. I will happily buy you one of them and send it over to you.
And I'll sit here. I won't understand anything, but I'll cheer for them. Just like you don't
I'll
understand
teach you.
anything in hockey, but you don't understand hockey, but you cheer for my Canadians. I got to do the same thing.
Exactly. And I cheer for them. And then I messaged you the other day going, "Oh, it's the final day and we're going to win." And then I woke up and fucking didn't. And I was like, I don't really want to show Andre for making me support this team.
I blame Peggy. I blame Peggy because she didn't have me over, and we lost. So I'm gonna blame it on that.
Yeah, blame someone else. Blame someone else.
On game 4, I was over at her place and we lost, but
I think this is a perfect time to transition over to the NHL playoffs for the show.
Okay,
well,
let's do it.
I mean, you brought up hockey, so Andre, you've been a little quiet, man. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's been going on in the NHL right now?
I don't know much about the footy.
I know that's fair. That's why I'm giving you the floor.
I don't know much about the footy, so I'm not going to be super loud about it. All right, I'm just trying to find that graphic I had last week or the week before.
No, you need an updated one because teams have won.
It's going to help me explain things especially for Mark.
I've got an app.
I know,
I've got the
but
NHL
I don't have an updated one at the. Yeah, if you can pull it up, do it. But yeah,
Give me a minute.
I'm just gonna do that. No, yeah, that'll work. There we go. So as of right now, this was the first round. But in the first round, I'm just going to switch over to my other screen, but I had my stuff up. Toronto has beaten Ottawa in a what should have been a much easier series for Toronto, but they were up 3-0. The Senators came back to win 2 games. It's just like, are you kidding? I was like, is this team gonna blow it? Like I was so expecting Toronto to blow that series. Like,
hold on,
but
let me just button because I've got something better for you.
Oh, do you? Please have something better.
Hold on, I've got something better for you.
Oh, it's just us. We're better. Nice. Oh.
Yo, Pop Smokes is in the house. His team's
there we go.
got one more game to try to get their way through still.
Yeah, so Toronto ended up coming back and winning that series 4-1. Florida took out Tampa Bay in 5 games. Again, not surprising. Tampa Bay is a good team, but Florida is the far superior team. They're on their team like just can't be beaten right now. So
quickly, what does first period mean?
Well, there's 3 periods in hockey.
First third of the game.
Yeah, there's 3 20-minute periods.
Oh, so they're the
and third period.
So they're the best in
it's
that.
It's like a half in
that
football, but thirds instead.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Go.
Yeah. I did say 4-2 for the Toronto series. Their STG. Yeah. It was 4-1 for the Florida series. So, man.
You did. I think you slipped and said 4-1 on the
Toronto. I apologize. It was 4-2 because Ottawa I couldn't believe that. Carolina taking New Jersey Devils up. Actually, the Devils being the first team knocked out of the playoffs this year. Their series was the first one to end with them knocked out. And then sadly in the East, the Montreal Canadiens could only win Game 3. Could not come back. Could not do it. And lost in Game 5. Hurts me in every which way. But I will say this, for a team who's only a couple of years into their rebuild, they had a very good showing. Like, some of the scores in those games aren't very representative with a couple empty netters in the games and stuff like that. So like there's really strong series for Montreal. They worked, they really did, but the Capitals are just so much stronger of a team, and that just it hurts. So you get in the Capitals and the Hurricanes, which I could really see the Hurricanes upsetting the Capitals in that series because the Hurricanes have been coming on very, very strong in this season. And then you have Toronto versus Florida. I'm predicting Florida.
Trouble. Yeah.
Oh my God, Florida's good. Florida's going to run them over, and I can't wait for that. And over on the west side, Edmonton making the miraculous come from behind comeback, losing games 1 and 2, and then coming back to win it in 4 straight games. Edmonton Oilers are just doing God's work right now. God, I was happy. Like so many, like I live just outside of Edmonton, and people were so happy with that. I'm happy for them. Again, it's a team I do support them because again I live here, but I'm not a hardcore fan. But I'm happy to see them be successful and making it because I just don't. The only Canadian team I don't want to see win a Stanley Cup is Toronto.
Okay, so here's a question from Ed for you, Andre. Who do I root for? Terrible Toronto or the team that stole my captain rat in Florida?
Who's the cap? Oh, Florida. Oh yeah, cheer for Florida. 100%. Never cheer for Toronto. I don't understand how people can cheer for Toronto.
I think SCG's got the right idea.
Yeah, I'm just supporting Edmonton through the rest of the playoffs. So that's my pick.
No. We support Pop Smokes here. Jets.
Well, they're about to get eliminated tonight. Yeah. They're getting eliminated. By
I don't know. They got to pull through.
No. President's Trophy curse, bro. That President's Trophy has been a detriment to any team over the last bunch of years. You win that President's Trophy, you are not doing well in the playoffs. It's simple. Simple.
Which one's the Jets?
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg.
Yeah, it's where Papa Smoke's originally from. So.
Right. The Peggers, the Peggers. Yeah.
Hello. I might be behind that one.
That's what they're called. They're called Peggers. But yeah, that's
please tell me that's true. Please show me there's a chant where they go Peggers, Peggers, Peg.
Well, they don't chant it at games, but people refer to them as Peggers because they're from Winnipeg or Winterpeg, as other people like to call it. That series is still ongoing. And then Dallas pulling it off last night, getting that win, taking it home, and they're heading out to round 2 against a team I cheered for at one point in my life because my favorite hockey player played for them, Colorado Avalanche, which surprised me because the Avalanche are a really strong team, and I was a little bit surprised on that one.
Wait. We have to back up. Wait. Bobby knows exactly what I'm doing now. Yep. So you're telling me that you're Canadian, a Habs fan, right? Mm-hmm. But you also cheered for there's a pattern here with you, Andre. You cheered for another team.
Let me explain. So growing up, I grew up and still to this day, I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan. So as a child, I was a very big fan of Montreal's goaltender, Patrick Roy. To me, the greatest goaltender to ever play hockey. Again, personal opinion. Not everybody agrees with that. And at the end of the 94-95 season, he left due to contract disputes and he ended up going to the Quebec Nordiques, who went and became the Colorado Avalanche in the 95-96 season. So I followed him as a fan because I was such a big fan of Patrick Roy himself, and I started cheering for Colorado because of Patrick. And I cheered for them until he retired, and then I stopped because he was gone, so I didn't have to cheer for that team anymore. So, and he won 2 Stanley Cups with that team after winning 2 Stanley Cups with the Habs. So, shut up, SGD. It was a contract.
So basically, so basically, you become one of those. Let's call them like Messi fans, where wherever he goes, they follow with him. It wasn't a team you supported; you supported that player.
Oh, I still cheered for the team. I still cheer for the Habs throughout that because at least it was West and East. I could at least go with that.
Okay,
but Patrick, again, he's my favorite player of all time.
So when he left, did you carry on supporting Colorado?
No. I stopped. I stopped supporting Colorado. I was supporting that team because of Patrick Roy. That was why I was there. Did I come to like some of the players on that team? Yeah. Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg. Great players. But when he retired,
was almost out of that grave that he had
He retired. I stopped cheering for Colorado and I went back to I'm just a Habs fan again. when he retired, I was just a Habs fan again, 100%.
I can see where he's come from in his defense.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
I can. Yeah,
growing up, my brother supported Beckham where Beckham went, but then again,
yeah.
in that case, Beckham never went back to England, kind of thing. So
No,
it
he
wasn't
didn't.
like he was choosing another English club, although he was still Manchester
it's not-
United. He went
not-
with
not like
Real
he was in the
Madrid
Eastern
and AC
Conference.
Milan and LA Galaxy as a result
Yeah.
of Beckham's. Yeah,
Andre,
exactly.
that doesn't help your case, though. It doesn't matter if it's the
I
same.
was-
You, Connor,
I was
no.
8.
Stop talking. Stop
I
talking.
was 8.
You've lost the right to talk at the moment. You supported a team that played in the same division as your own team, right? The same league.
So?
At one point, Colorado might have had to have played the Habs, right?
About twice a year.
Might have
yeah.
had to have been Habs fans. So,
times
what
a
would have
year.
happened if they did play against it? Who would you have supported?
I don't remember, but my brain probably broke.
Okay,
yeah,
let's think.
I
let's
like
think
Ophelia. You all know I'm a messy bitch. You know that. You all know that.
That's very true. That is very, very true.
Wonderful. You can tell
I
when
don't-
people really know Andre in the chat.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I make no sense. Just know, in everyday life, I make no sense. So my sports fandom shouldn't make any sense either. Like
So, right. So I've got to ask you this. Okay, we're going to keep on hockey. We're going to go back to it because I want to know more about the next round and do all of that in a second. But I want to keep on this topic of, and I want to ask Bobby this as well. For me, I'm a Reddit fan, right? Loyal Reddit fan. I have an eye out for Arsenal because my mum's an Arsenal fan. But if Arsenal lose, I wind her up more than I do when they win. Right, and I'm also also do it when they win. I will look out for them, and I want them to do well in Champions Leagues and stuff like that. I like football clubs around the world, so I like Barcelona. I like Inter Milan. I like AC Milan. I like the heritage of Juventus. I like going to Australia, looking at some of them, like Sydney. They've got a great football team over there. With America, I'm slightly less because there's no relegation or promotion. But if I had to pick a team, it would probably be LA Galaxy or Inter Miami because of that fact. But down in the South America region, I do love the Boca Juniors, the River Plate, the Santos in Brazil, those type of things. What I can't get around is I cannot support or like that much a team that's in the same league or same country as another team. Is that, Bobby, you'll be able to help me out this with more than probably what Andre can. Is that a foreign policy, or is that like a North American policy? Because you don't hear this in like France or Germany or Europe. You don't get that type of thing. You're loyal to that team and that's it. What is that?
I'd say in defense of how it happens around these parts is because the difference maker is when you're watching something like the NHL, that is it. It's the NHL. Once the players have made it to the NHL, you don't really watch teams go backwards to outside of the NHL. You know, so it's like when you're following a player, it's not like that player's never necessarily going to get sold to an international club somewhere else kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really involved on the NHL side. So if you really get into a player, like that's the player that drew you there in the first place, and they leave to go somewhere else, I can kind of see the whole watching the games that they play. I'm sure there was a lot of people that loved Gretzky back in the day when he won the cup for the Oilers and stuff like that, but then followed his career to the Kings because of the fact that that's who they followed and everything, because there isn't that outside interference of going to other countries and stuff. But I also see your point. Like for us as football fans, it's a little bit more difficult. It's kind of like we were talking positively earlier about Manchester United and Spurs making the Europa League final. I'm like, yay, both English clubs. But once it comes to that final, I'll be like, to hell with Spurs, you dirty, rotten scoundrels. Go to hell. I hope you get destroyed. Kind of thing. Like that's where it changes and stuff like that. You can be supportive to a certain degree, but once it comes to playing your team, pump the brakes. They are the worst team on the planet.
Do you think that's because North American leagues like the NHL, like the NFL, like the MLS, like baseball, don't have relegation? They don't have that thought
100%.
of It is because of that, isn't it? No matter what their team's going to be there, and do it. I think I don't understand why there's no relegation. That's the thing that I don't understand, because it's suspense. We went down to the final day of the season. You have heartbreak or ecstasy. You could either be surviving or you've gone. That type of thing. I don't understand why. You get more money out of that.
Here it's about making it into the playoffs and then making the money in through the playoffs.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
And over here again, like our lower end leagues are farm teams. They're not built as a step down league. Like they're built as the AHL's the team where your prospects play. That's
right.
The next step down from the and then you have your ECHL where maybe there might be a couple, but they're associated to clubs, to the NHL clubs, but that's where your guys who are probably never going to make the NHL, but could end up playing on an AHL roster to help bolster some rosters there, things like that. And then have your WHL, your Canadian Hockey League and Western Hockey League. It's just the Canadian Hockey League, which is the overarching system for all the teams, the junior teams that play within Canada, which is WHL, Quebec Community Junior Hockey League, and the Ontario Hockey League. And that's all under CHL, but again, that's your under 9. I think that's your under 20 players play in those leagues, and then once they graduate there, they go to either ECHL or AHL or into the NHL, right? But again, so there's the leagues below are essentially training leagues, if you think about it.
There's a Reading Royals that are in Canada, and they're in the EHCL league. What is that? Because when I look at it, it says the AA Developmental Hockey League.
Yeah, essentially, it's two step, like it's a 2-step down. Because your NHL is your top tier players playing for the best stuff, all that kind of stuff, and then your next step down, which is AHL, which is all the farm teams, and then the ECHL, which is essentially the farm league of the AHL. Almost, it's kind of like guys that it's mostly guys that will never see a minute of NHL hockey time, but like it's a lot of those guys. Like it's guys who played in college but aren't going to get signed to a team. That's what a lot of them go, like signed to an NHL squad, so they end up going to play in the CHL. If not retiring, they can play that and make a little bit of cash. But again, it's not. But again, yeah, like Ed said, it's not a very important league. I'm sorry to say. So
it is a minor league, and like I like this question that Peggy said a little bit ago. Does football have minor leagues? Essentially, yes, but they are still part of the relegation. Like they're part of the opportunity to go up. That's the thing. It's like you have that opportunity to fight for your chance to get into the football leagues of football there, kind of thing. So everybody kind of does apply, whether minor league or not, to that system. Whether or not they ever get out of those systems, which is very, very difficult. And we could make that a whole episode trying to explain that one of these days. It's weird how it goes, but yes.
So you have it's like a pyramid, okay? So football in England is a pyramid, okay? So at the top of the pyramid you have the Premier League. Then below it you have the Championship. They are associated. I've just looked. Reading Royals, they're in Pennsylvania. They're by Philly. They're near Philadelphia. I thought they were Canada, but yeah, they are. So I might. I don't know. I'll look out for them a little bit more. But
Philly can go to hell.
So you've got. So it's like a triangle. A triangle. We'll do an episode where we explain most of the leagues properly, but I'll do it roughly. A triangle. You've got the Premier League as the tip of it. Then you've got the Championship, League One, League Two. Then you have the Vanarama National League, which are semi-professionals, and then you go down to the Vanarama National League North and South, and then you keep going down and down and down. There, you can go. You can be. You call it Step 9 or Step 10, and that's how many leagues away it is from the Premier League. They are all semi-professional. We don't have colleges over here where you get drafted into the NFL or drafted in the NHL. If you're 16 and you've been playing football, if you're 10, you could be scouted by a football club and put into their academy. And you can be in their academy from the age of 7 all the way up until whatever age, and you can go and play. I had a guy at school who was in. I had two friends of mine at school. One of them was in the Arsenal academy. The other one was in the Chelsea academy. Both of them don't play football anymore. Yeah, Ted Lasso does teach you a lot more than what
It's
it
probably
should.
the
Yeah,
most accurate that any show has
Yes.
been to showing how it works. Yeah.
by far. By far.
But they use real club. Other than their, I know their club isn't real. The
Crystal
Greyhounds,
Palace.
but again, they use real clubs.
Mhm.
I know the
Otherwise,
club
yeah.
in Ted Lasso
Yeah.
isn't real, obviously, but the rest of the clubs they play in the league are real teams, right?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
And all the players and everybody they talk about are all actually like when they say they're playing against City and they mention Pep Guardiola, like he is the current manager of Manchester City, so they keep it current as well too at the same time.
Yeah, and he turns up in an episode as well.
Yes.
Pep,
Yes,
when
he
he
does.
talks to Ted Lasso. But if you watch it, and then they talk about the Dutch influence on football on it as well. If you do your history on football, then
I'm halfway through season 3 right now. I'm halfway through season 3 right now.
Yeah, so I watch it. It's the Dutch influence on, as you guys call it, soccer or football, was mainly down to when Johan Cruyff started playing football and when Johan Cruyff became a manager, when Johan really revolutionized football, which then revolutionized into Pep Guardiola, and so on from there. But yeah, but you are right with North American sports. I know more about players like Michael Jordan or LeBron James than I would know about the teams, which I think is wrong. I personally think that's wrong. I think it should not be about. I think players should get percentage of money, but it's not about the players. It's about the fans, and the fans do the stuff for the team, not those players. My opinion, anyway.
Yeah, but again, it's you can say that about a lot of sports. Like I don't know much about footy, but I know David Beckham. I know Messi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know Ronaldo. Again, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
When you say Michael Jordan, when you say LeBron James, when you say Wayne Gretzky, those are people who are above. Like I'm not saying above, but you know what I mean. Are that evolution above the other players in the league? They've done something special in basketball, in hockey, and so again, I understand. Like them better, but it's just like for me, I don't know much about footy, but again, I know who the legends. I know who Pele is. I know who kind of the legends are.
You are. Yeah, and the one thing I will say is yes, and I think you're right, SCG, what you're saying, and I think you are right. But I think North American teams do something different than European, where if you watch, like with Messi, right, you'll know who Messi is, but at the same time, it won't matter because there's other footballers behind him. With Michael Jordan, LeBron James, they're everywhere. Messi's on a couple of adverts, but if you watch Messi on an advert, right, with like Pepsi or mainly Pepsi, what he's done before, or Nike, he's in that advert with other footballers, right? Mm-hmm. He's in that advert with other footballers that have done the same thing. When you see LeBron James or when Michael Jordan was doing it, it was just solely about that person. It was nothing to do with anyone else.
Right. Although he's wrong because I literally saw videos of fights at hockey games recently, so it's kind of not true.
Peggy's saying very country dependent. I can tell you every team those NBA players played for, but I couldn't tell you who the famous footballers played for. Yes, we don't brawl in the stands like drunken fools, says Ed.
It's not true anymore, Ed.
Yeah.
Anymore, Ed.
I think every sport does that now. Every sport.
You clearly haven't watched a Saskatchewan Roughriders CFL game before either, have you?
There was I think it was a Toronto game. Peggy was showing me the video. Some dude dumps a drink on a Sens fan or something, and it leads to the people brawling, like a couple of people fighting. So again, it's also people have become much bigger douchebags. Like I understand the hooliganism and everything in footy over the centuries. I understand that's always been a thing in the game. I get, but like over here, you haven't seen that. You've seen that really rise up in the last like 10 to 15 years over here, because people are just becoming so much more insolent douchebags, and that's where a lot of the fights start, because somebody's being a complete fucking twit, and they and it causes somebody else to get pissed off, and that's what causes a fight in the stands. So it's not two rival teams brawling because they hate each other, because each one's you have the Reading fans versus I don't know, another team, I guess. Let's say just because it's the only other team I know in League One, Wrexham. It's not like you have those two teams fighting in the stands because I hate your team, you hate my team. It's if somebody's being a douchebag to somebody else, and that's why they're fighting in the crowd. Well, it's more of what it is over here.
People drinking too much before the games because of the cost at the games. That'll do it too. Yeah, and that's the class of Eastern Canada. Take that, Eastern Canada.
But what you also won't get in football is you won't get home fans and away fans sat with each other. And there has been cases where, which I find ridiculous in any sport, by the way, if you should have your away section and your home fan section, and that's it. You should not be mixing with each other. This is not a friendly, nicey sport. If you want to have a proper sport, you want to separate them and do your own thing. It's a load of bollocks, in my opinion. But what I will say is we had, and I'll tell you, hold on, let me tell you this. So this is what happened a few years ago. And I was sat in the Reading end and we were playing Leeds United. This is when we were in the Championship. We were playing Leeds United and they were going on a win, right? And they couldn't get enough tickets for their away end. So what did they do? They started buying tickets for the home end. And what they then did was when Leeds United scored, they then celebrated in front of the Reading fans, which, by the way, you can't do in England because what will happen is a mass brawl of fists throwing at your face. So what happened was 2 rows in front of me, Leeds United fans stood up and started cheering, and then 1 row in front of them and the people behind them, plus me, swinging as well. We all swinging at these blokes, and then they had to be escorted out of the building. You do not mix, and this is the one thing I do not understand of mixing it together. Makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, it can be dangerous, and it really should have separated fans because again, it's people will battle especially when drinks are involved. You're gonna have arguments. It's again, if you're not all on the same page.
But you also got to remember, America, Canada, it's a far more spread out. Like just from England, like in the leagues you have, the English Premier Leagues, we are far more spread out. So you don't see the travel of fans to the games like you do for in footy. You really don't. Like you go to, like, unless it's like the Habs, Toronto, or like teams like that who have history. I know a lot of older, I guess it's more older fans. A lot of people that moved to Alberta from the East in the 70s and 80s became fans of the Edmonton Oilers, became their team. But when the Habs would come to town, they put their Habs jersey on, or they put their Toronto jersey on when they come to town, because that's the team they grew up watching, right? It's because the Oilers became their team because that's where they live. So they became, because it's the team they can see regularly, right? But when their team comes to town, they put the other jersey on. So it's a weird point of how because you go to some games here. Like I've been to Habs games at Rogers and Rexall when it was open, and dude, like half the places in Habs jerseys, because it also attracts a lot more fans because they only come here once a year. So a lot more of the fans that are from places, people that live here that are from other places who are Habs fans, show up for those games. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see half the stadium or half the arena as in Habs jersey and half in Oilers jerseys. That'd be crazy to watch.
You don't even need to have half. In England, we have a section. I'll show you a picture. Hold on. So let me go onto here, right? And let me go up, scroll up, right? So if we look at this stadium here, right? The left-hand side where Bobby's face is, okay, where those blue seats are, is the section between home fans and away fans. There is netting across there. Then you've got the away fans there that are next to it on that side, on the further side. And then you've got another blue amount of seats in between them and then the home fans. That's what we do. And that's basically like in England, like I'm currently watching Chelsea v Liverpool. There will be a section behind one of the goals specifically for that. You haven't got to do half and half. But I just
No, I
find
know.
it before we move on. I'm going to give you a challenge. Okay, we're going to go back to this. I'm going to give you a challenge. I want you to predict who you think's going to win in round 2, and we're going to then mark out of. We'll see how many you get out of 4. Correct. Not the scores, just who you think's going to win each of the rounds.
Okay, so it's a little hard because I don't know.
Okay, hold on. Before we go for Peggy,
the Peggers are the St. Louis.
yeah, I'll let you think. Peggy, what is the size of the arenas in the NHL? What is
Depends
the
on
rough?
the team.
Because I know, because in the UK we go. If you go to Man United, you got 75,000. If you go to the lowest in the Premier League, which is Bournemouth, which is 13,000, which they should be getting more, in my opinion. 50.
And
That's roughly what you get in the Championship. Is roughly that size of stadium, and we still block it off for it. So that's what. Andre, I've given you time to think.
Andre,
round 2.
prediction time.
Who are you going to go for?
So in the East, I'm going to protect Florida versus Carolina. That's going to be your 3rd round matchup. Mainly I say Carolina because I want them to beat Washington because Washington beat my team. So it's also I hate you now. I hate them now.
But,
and then I'm going to pick Edmonton versus Dallas because I think Dallas is going to win through whether it's Winnipeg or St. Louis. So I'm going to go Edmonton Dallas in the Western final.
Peggy, I want to see your predictions. Do you go with the same with Andre, or do you go differently?
SDGs as well too, or anybody in the chat that wants to throw them in there.
Absolutely. I'm going to give it a guess. I'm going to go with. I think Toronto's going to go through, and I think it's going to be and I think Washington. I'm going with it, and I think Washington are going to go through, and I think it's going to be Vegas versus Dallas. I know nothing about it. That's where I'm going for.
Yeah.
Thanks, Peggy. Sweet Carolina. Ba, 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 ba.
I wasn't. We normally don't.
I'm saying Dallas, Edmonton in the West final, and Florida, Carolina in the East final.
No, I think Toronto are going. Do you know what?
Toronto is
I'm not going to say
the one team that is not going through.
Do you know what? I want Toronto to go through, just so the fact of that I want to see what happens on this show if Toronto make it through. That's it.
I'm now mad at Peggy. I'm now mad at Peggy for picking Washington to go through because she shouldn't be picking Washington to go through because they eliminated her team. Come on, Peg.
No, but you do want Washington win because if they beat your team and they go on to win it, that means that you lost to the eventual winners. And it means that you got a little bit of credibility about it. That's how I always look at it. If I lose to a team in the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup or the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, I always go, I want them to win the trophy because that means we lost to the winners. If they don't win, it means nothing.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Wait a second here.
SPE. Peggy is a Philadelphia Eagles fan. So hate on her because she is a Philly Eagles fan, and nobody should be an Eagles fan because Philadelphia is terrible. Pretty much all of Pennsylvania is terrible, including Pittsburgh. So,
damn, you've got a level of hatred against Philly is like my level of hatred I do against Oxford. I like
Philly fans are the absolute worst fans, and Philly fans are the worst fans in all of sports, at least in North America. They are.
No, you haven't met the true diehard United fans. You haven't.
No. I said in North America. I've met one.
No, you haven't met
worse than him.
I have the capacity to understand what's going on. You should see the ones that it's like everything. If one of our guys trips over his own lace, it's like, whoa, ref. Why weren't you going back to VAR? We got taken out. It's a penalty. It might be 50 yards outside the box, but it's a fucking penalty.
Do you know what? Who's got worse as well?
I think Dallas are garbage. Don't get me wrong. Their fans are pretty shitty. But Philly fans are the absolute worst.
Are Lakers hated?
The attitude of that city are just garbage people. When they win or they lose, they destroy their city.
Okay, so let's go through this. Dallas, I understand because they're America's team apparently, and they're not. NHL, I guess it's Toronto because of the amount of publicists that they get, but isn't the same amount of publicists that the LA Lakers get? But LA Lakers have won the most, so they deserve. They got the ego like United, or they got the ego of like the Barcelona and Real Madrid type things because they've won the most.
So they got no more ego this year because they're already out of the playoffs. So
yes, they lost in 5. Just like Shannon Sharp's
I
lawsuit.
don't disagree that they did, but Philly does it every year. Whether they win or lose, they riot and destroy their city. Vancouver's done it once.
Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff about that. It is interesting. There was that show, wasn't there, that they did
Philly,
the reenactment
Philly
of
beat up Philly destroyed that robot. People were taking that robot across the country, and like somebody built like a robot or something, and people were like taking the robot with them in cars and dropping it in different cities. And it got to Philly, and Philly destroyed it because Philly is full of hateful, terrible people who can't figure out a way to love.
Where our whole Philadelphia viewership go moving forward. You're good in every other place but Philadelphia. Point of view banned in Philly.
And then people in Massachusetts.
By the way, Philly, I like you. I like Philly.
They're pretty bad too. No,
Rocky Balboa. Philly. Come on, Rocky. Adrian! I like Rocky, so it's fine. I brought the Philly audience.
They have a statue. They have a statue to a fictional character.
Rocky's real. What you want about? He beat Mr. T. He pitied the fool. He made the fool pay. He pitied the fool.
No. All right.
That was Clubber Lang.
This show has now gone off the rails.
I love.
I'm
saying people from Philly are terrible. She can cheer from whatever, but she cheers for a team from a city who are terrible.
That makes it better. You can cheer for their team, but if you're from there, go down.
Andre, please don't ever turn up in Philadelphia.
There's one of these, like, the views expressed in this episode are not that of OLE, and it's on screen. Oh, damn it.
Next week I'm gonna go on praising Philly for something.
Next week, if we still have a program left on the show and we have not been completely canceled out by all of Philadelphia.
I don't hate Philly that much. It's just
hold on. Do you
the Philly sports fans are just
love
assholes.
You got to boost that. What's the point in that? What is the point in doing that? Also, you remember when DX had to read that letter of apologizing, and they made fun of it while they were reading it. That's what Andre's going to do next week to the people of Philadelphia. He's going to do it DX style, where we're going to start the show of just Andre on.
I need Mark standing behind me.
Of Andre with a piece of paper just on his own. Me and Bobby will be in the background watching. We start the show with Andre apologizing to the people of Philadelphia. I'm going to write that down so we don't forget it, because I want to see. Andre has a week to come up with a DX love letter.
You literally
know
I'm going to take the DX speech and just edit it to vote for Philly, right?
That's fine. Do whatever you want. I want to see it next week as we start. Everyone has to be here when we start the show, because Andre is doing a DX love letter to Philadelphia.
11 a.m. Eastern time. Yes, like this is where you hear the is that the one where you hear him apologizing in the background and you hear the gun click to Homer or whatever as he's reading out the apologies? Or that one. Okay. Hello, Mr. Kearns. All right, as we don't want to continue to go off the rail, we're getting well over the hour mark now. Is there any quick fire mentions that we want to do this week, or we got it all covered?
Grand Prix this afternoon.
We're leaving it at that. I don't care if I had any more.
This afternoon.
Oh yes, we got Formula One.
This afternoon. Woo.
We got Formula One straight after this later on tonight. Max Verstappen starts on pole after Kimi Antonelli started on pole in the sprint race yesterday, with Lando Norris coming to win the sprint race yesterday after an action-packed Miami. Miami, by the way, is one of the worst tracks in the calendar. It's horrible. It's boring as shit. But when there's rain, by God, is it fun. So Miami, for the love of God for today, piss down with rain. Thank you very much. And I'm going to pick.
I gotta give it that.
I'm going to give it to Lando Norris to win.
I'm gonna give it to Kimi Antonelli to win.
I was thinking about it, but I didn't want to go that ballsy. And I was thinking about it.
I'm going ballsy.
Well.
I'm picking Antonelli to win, Verstappen in second, and Norris in third.
I just want to say as well, congratulations to Max Verstappen on becoming a father for the first time as well.
Ooh.
And I just want to say before we go to the end part of this show with this comment on the screen that 3 guys on screen talking about sports is kind of like a mule with a spinning wheel. Nobody knows how they got it, and damn knows if they know how to use it. That's all I'm saying on that one. Now we're going to go to this part. Andre, why don't you tell the wonderful people where they can reach out to you, what you got coming up?
8 p.m. Eastern tonight. I'll be right back here on OLE for Marvel Talk as me and Ed will be talking Thunderbolts asterisks. Come and find out what that asterisk means tonight on
I know.
show. We do. So we are going to spoil the shit out of this movie. So Mark, you shouldn't be watching our show tonight because we're going to spoil the shit out of it. Don't watch it later. Don't watch it till you've seen the movie.
Okay.
But
watch it after you see the movie.
All right.
If you have seen it, come hang out with us. If you haven't seen it and you don't care, come hang out with us and let's just talk about it then. But yeah, we're gonna go talk about that tonight. So check us out, 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. me and Bobby time. So come check us out over there. And you can find me on X and Blue Sky at That Canada, TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at That Canada Dude. But I will not reply to you on Threads or TikTok because I really don't use them.
There you go. Heard by the man himself. Mark, what do you got coming up? Where can the people find you?
We've got potentially the final week of the South Shield. Okay, I was going to join, but Andre and I are fighting. Yes, well, Peggy, please, for the love of God, put him in his place. Billy style by the time you were on the show tonight.
Andre. It'll be Piggy and Ed later on Marvel Talk.
Yeah. No. Every time we'll treat Andre. We'll treat Andre like Dominic Mysterio or what Philly fans do to Santa and just boo him the whole time he talks. With that could potentially be happening. So make sure you come and check that out. But no, it's the end of the season here. Could potentially be the final week next week of the South Shields experiment. And on WWE 2K25, we're going up to next week will be the final week for the build-up for Money in the Bank. And SmackDown, me, has the women's Money in the Bank ladder match solely to myself. The men will be between 2 from each of the brands. And there is a surprise announcement happening next week because of NXT. So please, if you haven't already, go over there and check that out. And I will be back here next Sunday. I would probably do the post show for Backlash, but I will most probably be asleep. But I will do any talk up of Backlash. By the way, I'm going to do a prediction now. John Cena wins. There we go. That is my. Also, Gunther beats Pat McAfee, but that match is going to be fun. From that, and Jacob Fatu retains in the Fatal 4-Way. But those are my predictions for that. Bobby, what have you got coming up this next week? And make sure everyone tunes in the start of this show next week with Andre's DX love letter to Philly. And over to you, Bobby.
All right, over to me. John Jana. Yeah. What do I got coming up? Well, I've got, of course, Thursday night with Papa Smokes doing Ring Respect Radio, where we do anything from interactive games to talking about indie wrestling, talking about the history of pro wrestling. But this Thursday night, we're going to be talking about IPW out of New Zealand. Our good friend of the channel, the Divine Light, James Shaw, is a very dominant superstar over there. He had a matchup on there. Lots to talk about, so tune in on Thursday night. You can also join myself, Papa Smokes, every Saturday afternoon with a new match from Prairie Pro Wrestling as I'm putting Andre to sleep while I'm giving my goodbyes here today. I know, I'm just bugging you. Prairie Pro Wrestling every Saturday afternoon where we bring you a new match. Oh man, this was too good. But yes, this is too much now. Sorry, Andre, I had to. Then, of course, now I'm completely lost. Just join us next Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for more Point of View, where I'm sure more shenanigans will be But anyway, because we can't stop
Flavor
laughing, and
Flav.
we're going to go have a chuckle backstage. We're going to say, go follow OLE. Go follow OLE on all stuff.
Where's my
Thumbs
clock?
up, all that stuff. Yep, goodbye. We're taking off. That's it. We're leaving with the calendar on the way out. Take care, everybody.
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Fools are calling and I seem to care.